My name is Patricia Cleary. I'm in the e-product development area at Springer. I'm an e-product development manager. And as Stuart said, I also have a background in anthropology. I have a master's in applied anthropology, which is basically how anthropology can be used in real-world situations, not just in academia. And so I guess you could say that I do have a fair amount of interest in how social media affects businesses. So let's get started. So first, I know the wireless in here isn't working very well, but if you have questions, comments, compliments, you can certainly send them to our Twitter channel. And if you can't, then obviously you can raise your hand as well. But send them to, so we can be trendy here. Send them to the Twitter if you can. So, get started. Springer is active in the social web, but we had to take some steps before we could actually get started. And as Stuart touched upon in his presentation, we first worked on developing our strategy and creating guidelines. We didn't want to step into the social space without doing these things. This took about, I would say, six or 8 months, a little bit more. We had discussions, several departments. We got everybody involved in the conversation, and from that, we developed what I think are some pretty good strategies and guidelines, and then also communicated those guidelines effectively to staff. Once we did that, we commenced or we debuted in the social media space in April 2011. So we've been active for a little bit over a year now. And right now, our direct engagement channels include 117 Twitter accounts, 38 Facebook pages, 23 LinkedIn groups, 5 Zing groups. Zing is a social media site that's active in Europe, YouTube channels, 14 blogs, and we're currently experimenting with Google+. We have five Google+ accounts right now and growing. And those 5 accounts are Springer Neuroscience, Springer Open, Springer Plus, Biomed Central, and I forget the 5th one for now, but find them on Google+. So along with that, we also developed a channel for indirect engagement with customers. We actually provide them with a fast and easy cut and paste option to share about Springer products, so they can come to this area of Springer.com, and they have an easy way, basically fill in the blanks for busy researchers that want to talk but don't have too much time to do so. That's another important channel. And then in our strategy, we also made sure that we had marketing support, because social media is only as good as how far you can get it out there, how far you communicate it. You can't really always depend on people finding you. Okay, so you kind of have to shout a little bit. So this marketing support ensures high visibility of existing and new social media accounts. So as new social media accounts debut, we announce them through our channels, and we share a newsletter. We have teasers on Springer.com in relevant e-campaigns and pre-conference announcements, dedicated social media campaigns themselves, banner advertisements, TOC alerts, and alert inserts, and we also have promotions for Springer. We tweet promotions for Springer products and services. So we have a pretty robust support from marketing in that area. So that basically gets the word out. But all this social media activity is just one part of the equation. Account monitoring is very important to growing our social media messaging and customer engagement strategy. Right now, we work with a service called Say It's Social to monitor our social media accounts, and our tools include Radian 6 social media monitoring and Hootsuite. Unfortunately, right now, Google Plus accounts can't be monitored on Radiant 6 and Hootsuite, but I'm sure that will change very soon. That's why our Google Plus accounts are still experimental. We monitor our brand and competitors all around the social web, including Twitter, blogs, forums, and all the comments in blogs and Facebook. But on Facebook, you can only monitor public posts. So just a note for that. We do monthly monitoring as well as daily monitoring of Twitter. And we also get Radiant 6 monthly reports. So we monitor our brand. And as you can see, we monitor it across the different channels of blogs, forums. We see how often we're mentioned, the percentage that we're mentioned, the number of times we're mentioned. So I think that's very informative. But we also put it into context by monitoring against our competitors. And I'm not going to mention our specific competitors. I'm sure everybody knows who they are. But we not only monitor positively, in other words, how much more Springer is mentioned as a brand on these channels, but we also monitor in context to other things as well. In other words, if something that may not have a positive spin comes up, how much is Springer mentioned within that? And as you can see to your left, the competitor analysis, that orange bar, the orange arrow, that was from February of this year. That is pointing to our competitor. One of our competitors, something came up in the news, and it wasn't exactly flattering, it wasn't very positive, and talked about STM publishers in general. As you can see, we weren't mentioned much at all. We're actually the light blue bar below that. Springer is. As you can see, mentioning in that negative content, our mentions on these channels stayed consistent. So all of a sudden, people didn't start tweeting and commenting, Springer this, Springer that. However, one of our competitors did come up a lot more in these negative conversations, and I think that's very important to know. So it's not only, that, hey, we're here, shout it out, but also, if, for instance, if all of a sudden we were mentioned more during that negative time, obviously we would have to take action. So it's a very important tool, both for positive and negative. So, in addition to monitoring these channels, we also monitor incoming traffic to Springer.com, where people come from into Springer.com from different social media sites. So as you can see, by far, Facebook is huge and getting bigger. And second, of course, LinkedIn, followed by Twitter. And then you have Zing, YouTube, and Flickr, which very minimum right now. But Facebook is huge, so we get a lot of traffic from Facebook, and it keeps growing. As you can see, from the first and second quarter to the third and fourth quarter, the traffic from Facebook doubled in 2011. So I think that's pretty significant, and it keeps growing. We also use a service called TweetReach. Basically, it answers the question is how far did your tweet travel? And so by using that tool, you can set it up with your Twitter accounts and find out how much exposure your tweets get and the types of tweets. It's a very useful tool. So I have some examples here of social media monitoring in action. Some of them are in German, so I have notes. So to translate them for you, so you just have to bear with me for a second. So this is how Springer handles criticism in the social web, the first example. So there was an article published, basically said, the title said, "Not kept promises, Springer articles are not affordable." A customer found this article and tweeted it tweeted about Springer not keeping their promise for free journals, and basically their tweet said, articles are too expensive. Our social media team discovered this and found this customer and sent a direct email to them saying that Springer basically understands their problem, but explained the situation of why we can't give away our content for free. But that we were concerned and that we do show an interest directly in the customers by contacting them directly. The customer, in turn, was very satisfied that Springer responded personally to our comments, and then afterwards sent a tweet with praise for us that basically said, "I really must give big praise to Springer. Springer is very constructive with my compliments and reacted very promptly." So that was very nice. So we turned a negative situation into something positive. My second example for handling criticism is, again, Twitter. There's a well-known German academic librarian named Oliver Obst, and he tweeted. He's very listened to in Germany. He's very renowned, very respected, and his Twitter accounts get a lot of traffic. So he tweeted, "In our library, we have hundreds of Springer titles without ebook rights. This is unacceptable. What is left?" Right? So if we don't have rights to these, why have it? Again, our social media team found this, and we had a significant amount of email correspondence and direct messages with the librarian. Basically gave him an updated list of his ebook holdings. So Dr. Obst then tweeted, "Springer sent me an updated list," and he linked to the list. "So only 5 titles without ebook rights. So it is a false alarm." So we go from our entire collection doesn't have any rights, to 5 titles. The lesson in this is monitoring the account and responding directly to customer criticism can correct information and correct it very quickly before it has time to spread. Third example, again, this is the librarian, Oliver Obst. And he tweeted again. He said, "Hey, here you can see how long it takes to open an ebook. Springer, hey, it takes more than 3 minutes." And then another academic librarian on Twitter responds, "Did you have the same experience at SpringerLink.com?" So then Dr. Obst says, "Recently, SpringerLink.com has been very slow. As you can see, sehr langsam." He also tweeted this directly to Springer. Very slow. So Springer responded to Dr. Obst and basically said, "Hey, have a look. SpringerLink is speeding up again. Sorry for any inconvenience and have a nice day." So Dr. Obst said, "Oh, super." He tweeted this back publicly. "Oh, super. Thanks a lot." And retweeted his response to his followers. So again, correcting the information with Dr. Obst. So we have another example. This one's in English. Peter Suber tweeted that he wasn't refereeing a paper for a journal that Springer publishes because Springer opposes the Federal Research Public Access Act. Again, our social media team caught this and tweets back to clarify that the Springer that Peter Suber was referring to is not Springer Science and Business Media, but rather another publisher called the Springer Publishing Company. We aren't related to them. We also mentioned that Springer Science and Business Media did not sign the Federal Research Public Access Act opposition letter. So we corrected that. And after that, Mr. Suber then tweeted again. He acknowledged that we were correct, that the Springer he refers to was not us, and that we, in fact, our Springer owns, Biomed Central owns Springer Open Access Journal Brands, and apologized publicly for the error. So I have another example here from customer service. I was personally involved with this one very much. This is again Dr. Opes. He actually, and I think his name in English means like fruit salad or something. Seriously. So Dr. Fruit Salad, he's a great guy, but you know he's great. He keeps us on our toes. But it's also important to monitor him because he may not always be right. He has actually 2 Twitter accounts. He has his professional librarian Twitter account, then he has his personal account. And he tweeted from both accounts. The Springer Link app doesn't work. Right? We have this app out for Springer Link. Spent a lot of time testing it, and we found these tweets, and our team then contacted him personally. I was involved with this because I actually, from the development department, contacted him to find out exactly what about it didn't work. This is not in my notes here, but I can tell you that some of what he was saying didn't work had nothing to do with the app. It had to do with the operating system on his device and how he had it set up. Although some of his feedback was constructive. So I would say about 70% of it was his device, and I would say about 30% of it were things that we definitely wanted to improve, and it was good to get that feedback. So we reacted directly with him. We emailed him. My colleagues in Germany translated some emails that I sent back and forth with him to make sure that he was satisfied. We then also told him that we're currently working on an update for the app. And we're getting the developers involved, which I was one of them, talking to him, and let them know, what your criticisms are. So after we had this extended back and forth and the emails and contact, and we did collect his feedback, Dr. Opes then tweeted publicly from both accounts, "Wow, Springer reacts directly to my criticism about their iPhone app." And in January, after we released the update to the iPhone app, to the Springer Link iPhone app, we then tweeted to Dr. Opes that the update for Springer Link app is live. Thanks for your feedback. So it's very important. We also have another example here where an author was tweeting about a book they were publishing, and they had an incorrect link in the tweet. It linked to another book on Springer, and we corrected that as well through a conversation with him, and he retweeted it. So overall, social media is transforming also the way researchers collaborate and communicate with each other, in addition to how they communicate with publishers. In addition to the tools that we're most familiar with, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, there are more specialized networks that are growing as well. In the scientific area, these networks include Mendeley, ResearchGate, and Academia EDU. And as you can see here, Mendeley has nearly 2 million members and 34 million papers on it. ResearchGate, 1.5 million members and over 10 million full texts. Academia EDU has 1.2 million members and 1.2 million papers. So these are significant and growing networks, and there's others as well. These are just the top ones that we're aware of. And we're currently looking into tools that can monitor researcher conversations as well, so that we can get involved on this more granular level, because some researchers may choose not to use Facebook or Twitter for obvious reasons. They may want to connect directly with their colleagues in their specialization area, and we'd like to be involved, especially to get feedback and to hear what they have to say. So My takeaways from this, for those who want to enter the social media space, is first, we provide a social media section on Springer.com that lists all our Springer social media accounts according to subject. So it's one large page with all the accounts listed that people can go to, to catch their interest. We also provide link backs from this list from our discipline pages. So not only do we have this one page with all the links on it, but for specific subject areas, let's say clinical medicine, we will, on the clinical medicine page, we will have a list of all the social media that Springer has available in that area that then, of course, can link back here. So we echo it in the subject area. If people never come to this page, when they go to their specialty pages, they'll still see the link, so they're aware of it. More takeaways. It's always about engagement with the community. So this isn't really just a soapbox to shout about. It's, as I showed you in the examples, we either communicated publicly or we took the conversations offline, but we did have conversations with the customers. Social media acts as a feedback channel that helps us improve our products. Some of the feedback that we get is very useful, and it's a direct channel to the publisher. For instance, for the Springer Link app, hearing Dr. Ope's feedback directly, as a user, as I guess a tester, was very useful. And since we were in the process of building the update, we did incorporate two additional things that he provided feedback for, which that was very useful. I don't know what other channel would be able to provide that kind of feedback. So social media can also help us to acquire new authors. We can respond to criticism and complaints and announce new products. Social media doesn't cost a lot of money to set up accounts, but it does cost a lot of time to manage those accounts. So there's a team in Heidelberg that they're the main monitors for the accounts that works with Say Social. And I work with them, along with a few other colleagues in New York. And of course, we have product managers that also have access to the Twitter accounts and other accounts that we have. So there's a whole team working on these accounts. It's not just one person or one or two people. It's a group effort. Dead social media accounts are not professional. I don't know if I'm sure everybody here has gone to somebody's Twitter feed or blog or something, and you see the date for the last update is like, May 2009. And it's sad, right? So, that's definitely not a positive reflection. So if something isn't working, take it offline. Don't leave it up. But make sure that everything is fresh and current according to the type of social media tool that you're using. For instance, Twitter, every day. Facebook, maybe a couple times a week. It depends, but make sure that things get old really quickly in social media, so that's something to be careful of. The other thing that to be careful of is that the more social media accounts that you have, the more diversity, of course, but having too many accounts can create problems for finding both followers and content to post. So there's a balance. You don't want to have 600 Twitter accounts for every minute specialty because there's too many to handle. So you need to balance that, and that's part of the strategy to make that decision before you go online. Niche areas are very hard to sustain. So especially in science and medicine, there are plenty of those. Sometimes sharing an account that is more generalized will help promote content and share the workload more evenly. So including that niche, rolling it into a slightly larger area may be more beneficial in the end. So that's it. Does anybody have any questions they can't tweet? Sure.
So I understand how you handle the customer service side feedback on the social media. How do you handle it when people are asking you questions about the content itself? And how do you get back to them in a timely manner?
For those types of questions that we come across in social media, so let me say the question again. How do we handle when customers have questions about the content, and how quickly can we get back to them? So just like these examples, we have a team that's monitoring. So if somebody does say, I have a question about the content, I found typos, my name's spelled incorrectly, I don't think this is right, or something else directly doing with the content, they will then feed that to the editorial area to deal with that and take it offline. So then the editorial team, the publishing team responsible for that area can then get personally involved with the customer. And that usually, I would say that happens pretty rapidly. So I would say within a day. Sure.
I was just interested, you had that pie chart showing traffic from social networks like Facebook and so on.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's on that slide what percentage of your total traffic came from social media.
It didn't have the actual totals, like the total, but again, those are from the first and second, from 2011, so they're old. They're really old. And remember, we didn't get started until April 2011 anyway. I didn't have a total at the bottom, but I can tell you since even the fourth quarter last year, the traffic has jumped significantly.
Of your total Springerlink traffic, is it like 5% or 1% or less than 1%?
Yeah, I don't have those numbers with me right now, but we do monitor it against the traffic. I could say it's not because of the nature of Springerlink. I mean, it's not like 10 to 20% of our total traffic for Springerlink comes directly from social media. No, that's not the case. But that's not the goal here. It's not the goal. Here is something a little bit different. And as you can see, we monitor it for Springer.com, which is Springerlink is the content site. Springer.com is the site that shows our products. So it's a little bit different. So once people get to Springer.com, they can then link through into Springerlink. So, any other? Sure.
How do you select what you handle privately through email or DMs or whatever, what you handle publicly? Because I think there's an element of allowing you to save face as well, right? Like how do you differentiate between the two?
Well, I think there's a fine line, and each case is handled individually. I think, for instance, if someone, like Dr. Opes had Springerlink app doesn't work, we need to find out what that is. So we don't want to have that conversation on Twitter, and we take it offline. And you can see where we took it offline and where we kept it in public. I mean, for instance, when Mr. Suber misquoted, which Springer he wasn't publishing with, or the incorrect one, we didn't really need to take that offline. It was just a public correction. So there's different levels, and that's something that I think you have to decide as a company, according, with your PR department, your corporate communications, when it's appropriate to take it offline. I think that's on a case-by-case basis, and that's how we handle it. Any other questions? One in the back?
Yeah. What percentage would you say you post content versus you do this kind of damage control you're showing?
I think the majority of it is posting the content. I would say like 95%. I specifically don't think that everybody just criticizes Springer by these examples. They don't. The thing is, I was specifically asked to show these examples in this meeting to show where it would be useful. How to deal with, for instance, sticky situations like this, and what happens in social media, and why it's important to monitor it. But don't think for a minute that that's all people do when they get on Twitter. The majority of the stuff that we do is promoting our products and content. I would say a full 98%. But like I showed in these examples, there are cases where things do happen, and so it's important to be there to catch them.
Okay, we'll take one more question from the gentleman in the brown jacket, and then we'll move on. Susan has some more questions at the end, hopefully. Thank you.
How do you evaluate the overall ROI of your social media program? You can say how much traffic's coming in, or that you sort of fix someone's perception of something, but the amount of money, it's hard to say how much dollars actually goes into or what the value is.
Yeah, that's correct. It's a secondary channel, and I think it's something that we're still looking into. Like I said, we've been online for about a year with these, in other words, in a sense, it's still in development. So, with the strategy, we did realize that you couldn't just have one person or only a couple of people doing it. But I think, as time goes on and we do deeper analysis of the benefits and, like you said, the ROI, we'll make adjustments accordingly. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.